So we're going to now look at the king of Scientology.
Yeah.
The nuttiest person I think I've ever researched at this point. Tom friggin' Cruise.
Tom Cruise, I think that was about the extent of my knowledge on Scientology.
Yeah.
Back in the day, because it was just like, oh, Tom Cruise, he's part of Scientology. And I don't think I necessarily knew what was wrong with that, but I knew it was wrong. Just like people would tell you and they'd be like, oh, I'd be like, oh, Tom Cruise seems like a nice guy. And they'd be like, he's a Scientologist. Because I remember there was like this whole headline back in the day that he had been on Top Gear, and they used to have like that audience where everyone was stood up and a woman fainted and he went over to help her and was so nice. And I was like, oh, such a nice guy. And then my dad was like, he's a Scientologist. And I was like, okay. Okay then. Seems
and
nice.
He also was like screaming at people recently on. Was it?
I kind of like supported this though.
Yeah, because when I read it, I was like, oh, he's going to be an anti-masker.
Yeah.
Of course he is, but no, he was telling people to socially distance and wear a mask.
And also, he was saying like, we're losing so much money every day because like. I feel like it's something ridiculous. Like a day that they miss on filming in some films, you lose like $1 million or pounds or whatever, and it's like. People are losing their jobs. He's got something that's employing people right now, and people are losing their jobs. He doesn't want that. So that is one thing that Tom Cruise did, and I was like, okay, maybe you shouldn't scream at people, but at the same time, I can see why it would be infuriating.
Why do people have to be multifaceted? Is what I want to know. Why
can't he just be a beautiful statement? Why do people have to be multifaceted?
Why does he have to be like caring about COVID restrictions, but also has treated women terribly his entire life? Like,
I just don't know. I don't know, Tom.
Why can't he just pick a lane? Just like pick.
Stay in your lane, Tom. You could be like a good guy.
Yeah. You have it in you.
Just I like cracked my jaw and it like sent an intense pain through my ear. Anyway, carry on.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a shooting pain. It's gone now, but it was a surprise to me.
So in the Lawrence Wright article, which again we'll link, he is talking to a defector called Jay Brossow, who used to be a bodyguard to David Miscavige.
It's Miscavige. And it's sounding like miscarriage. That's how I remembered it. Yeah.
Thank you. Because I hadn't heard it said.
I only had because of the documentary I watched, and the whole time I was like, are they saying miscarriage? Because that's an unfortunate name, but it's Miscavige.
Yeah. So he's talking to this defector who was like in the center of it, and when he defected, he said it caused a lot of anxiety because he worked in a series of special projects for Tom Cruise. So, Tom Cruise is right in the middle, but at the beginning he was introduced to the church in 1986, but I think he joined in 1990 by his first wife, Mimi Rogers, although she denies that she introduced him to it.
Right.
And Miscavige has called him the most dedicated Scientologist I know. He is essentially Miscavige's second in command, and Miscavige took over for Ron L. Hubbard when he died. So L. Ron Hubbard. He is as close as you can get to the top of it.
Miscavige and Tom Cruise are like besties, and Miscavige was best man at Tom Cruise's wedding to Katie Holmes, which is it doesn't seem like the typical man you'd have as your best man, but go off, I guess.
And apparently, when he was so close to David Miscavige, that Miscavige would listen to his audited tapes privately with his wife and other people, other high-ups, and then Miscavige's wife disappears and she's never been seen in public since. But that's a side note to the story, believe it or not. That's not even the main story.
Apparently she was seen in 2016 and she has been seen by the FBI since.
Oh, well, that's reassuring.
The thing is, so the FBI, here's a little side note, FBI are desperate to look into Scientology. And every time someone comes out of Scientology, they interview them and they're like, if we are to go into Scientology, are you going to help us? And they will say, yes, but there is no point in you doing it because everyone you speak to who's there will say, we're here by our own will, we want to be here, even though they're not. Yeah. And so the whole thing is, whatever her name, Sally, Sheila, something like that. Shelley. Shelley Miscavige is gone for years. No one sees her. The FBI eventually go in and they're like, oh yeah, she said she's fine. So you, the FBI, know that even like if they go in, people are going to say, no, we're fine, we want to be here, even though they don't really. Yes. And they go in, Shelley, who's not been seen in public since about 2006, is like, yeah, I'm fine. And they just take that?
It's madness. It's absolutely madness. So anyway, they would all sit around and listen to Tom Cruise's audited tapes and make a running commentary as it was going along. And like, especially they would like roll their eyes at all his like sex parts. And it's like, this man is your best friend.
That's so weird. What?
Isn't that weird? I mean, what we're talking about, everything's alleged. And it's come from. So yeah, don't come for us. We're just reporting what has been.
We're just reporting what we've read.
Yeah.
And our own opinions, I guess.